3, 2, 1, go!
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Go Get Your Shine Box. This is Jim, your host, along with the guys. Say hello, guys.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Jim, how's it going, man?
That's great. Hello,
All right. And Joe.
Well, that was kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, here we are.
I got to lead off with this. We've got an email from a listener. It is, who is it here? Stacy's mom at onlyfans.com. And, things got a little heated last week. And apparently Stacy's mom took exception to Joe raising his voice toward me.
Did she now?
I wanted her to know that Joe has made amends. He's apologized, and it won't happen again.
Yeah, that happens.
So in the green room, I heard you both were hugging and making up. Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, well.
Rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Anyway. Yeah, well, that's an interesting email take. But,
cool story, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even gonna make a comment to that. Let's just move on.
Hey, ain't sweating it, man. Ain't sweating it. So, but anyway, here we are again. And lo and behold, we discussed a little topic, as we always do, probably a day or two after the last drop. And as if Big Brother was listening, it seems like the media, and when I say the media, the stuff that we listen to for the most part ran with this. And we're gonna say COVID exposed, the big lie. And this isn't the lie that the left was talking about with Trump. This is the actual lie, the COVID lie that we were stuck with for the past. But geez, I think it's still going on.
Which lie? Is there only one?
We have a few to choose from, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
right.
I have a picture in my head and also on my notes. It's an umbrella. Okay, can we just all agree that the big lie is an umbrella, and under that umbrella is the
lesser lies.
The lesser lies, particularly have to do with this COVID, this pandemic, this scamdemic, this ridiculousness that was perpetrated upon us by the Chinese. We've had a couple of occurrences this week, including Christopher Wray. If you don't know who Christopher Wray is, he's the godfather. I mean, he's the director of the FBI, the country's largest organized crime unit, a crime prevention unit. And he came out and all but said, and I don't have a clip of him, and I had the clip and I was going to use the clip, but I'm like, no, you know what? I don't even like the guy because he lies 70% of the time.
I was going to say head of the largest organized crime syndicate, but
I didn't say that. Because that's what I was going for, and I didn't want to digress, but Jim's theory number 64 is the reason why the FBI and the federal government went after the Italian mob in the 70s and 80s was for nothing more than to cut out their competition.
Yeah,
so That's a fact. But anyway, yeah. So, and I thought we'd start this with an interesting clip, which we don't normally do, which kind of talk a little bit, but this is going to be a clip to kind of set something up. And it's recent. This is Rand Paul and had a little go at Herr Fauci. And we'll just play that and see what it sounds like.
You continue to support NIH money going to Wuhan. You continue to say you trust the Chinese scientist. You appear to have learned nothing from this pandemic. Will you today finally take some responsibility for funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator, with all due respect, I disagree with so many of the things that you've said. First of all, gain of function is a very nebulous term. We have spent, not us, but outside bodies, a considerable amount of effort to give a more precise definition to the type of research that is of concern that might lead to a dangerous situation. You are aware of that. That is called P3CO.
We're aware that you deleted gain of function from the NIH website.
Well, I can get back to that in a moment if we have time.
Did he say PC3O? Isn't that the robot from Star Wars? Any geeks out there?
He's such a smarmy, smug piece of garbage.
Yeah.
He wants to replace the understandable definition with some nebulous term that appeals to authority, because nobody can understand what PC3 dash hyphen whatever is. So, the experts must have it under control and be screw that.
You should Senator, you should know that. You should know what the PCT3 is, Senator. I mean, this guy's a freaking, he's a
swamp rat.
Well, and then some.
Yeah, he's the head rat. I mean, he looks like a rat. Oh, geez, the JQ's going to come up now.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. When I was spitballing this, I'm thinking, enough of this censorship crap, because you can't say anything without YouTube censoring it or somebody censoring it. This is going to get out on our normal podcast drop. Somebody might pick it up and censor some stuff. Maybe YouTube censors the whole thing. But you know what? Screw them, because they're freaking complicit in this entire freaking menagerie. This is, in my humble opinion, this is a bioweapon that was released out in the public deliberately by the Chinese from a lab that we paid for, essentially, to kill people. And that's what happened. And 1 million Americans were dead, and nobody seems to want to care. And why is this a political issue? Every part, every breathing limb of the media, I don't care what you want to call it, the drive-by, the mainstream, the conservative media, should be shaking and yelling out their windows like that movie. And we're mad as hell. We're not going to take it anymore. And they're all sitting there covering. Why are they covering for China?
Because they made billions of dollars.
Well, Joe, I was going to push this further down, down the road on this particular episode, but I thought about that. Is it the money? Is it the power? Or are they just nihilist wannabe gods that are so sick?
I don't know, but I do know that they made such a massive amount of cash was taken in over these last 3 years.
Oh yeah.
It's like, it's mind-boggling. It would almost eliminate our national debt. I mean, it's well, maybe not quite that much, but but an exaggeration. Let's fact check. Yeah. You can fact check me here, because the asshole fact checkers will be fact checking me. But they took billions of dollars in. People got filthy rich over this. While people died and people became poor and people were I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that came in increments, and I think that the initial fortification, if you will, of this release was to affect economies. And I don't see, being from, looking at it from a historical point of view, I don't see how the CCP isn't targeting America. I just don't see that. And to your point, the money is keeping some people quiet, but it's not everybody. There was incremental money made. The scam with the so-called vaccine, the scam with the blocking of certain prophylactics, but pushing others. The pharmaceuticals that's another evil entity, and we could spend much time on that. But this was designed to destroy people and destroy economies. And I don't have the breakdown in front of me as to whose economy or whose death rate was higher. But it sure did affect us. And that saying, you kill 20 people, you're a serial killer. You kill 1 million people and you're a ruler. And we all knew what was going on. We all knew this was from a lab. We all knew that our Fauci was paying for to subsidizing it. But nobody's doing anything about it. Even to this day, it's leaked. Ray was out on, what was he on? What show was that? He was on Brett Baer. I mean, he called it a bioweapon.
Yeah, well,
so.
and nobody's head's going to roll. Nobody's going to be held accountable for anything.
No,
I mean, the blatant lies they just said. I mean, you can go back and you can rerun the recordings and the videos, and you can just see it's repulsive, and they don't care. Nothing's going to happen to these people. They did what they had to do at the time.
Well, and even at that, is there going to be a sacrificial lamb?
I don't know.
Will there be anything?
Probably not. Probably not.
Anyway,
look at Fauci alone. Look at the conflict of interest that he had and the investments that he had in some of these pharmaceutical companies and these labs and stuff, where he profited. Forget about the exorbitant salary that taxpayers paid him every year. He made millions on the side. It's grotesque.
Well, and the highest paid federal employee, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's he's retired. He's still collecting a full salary. How does that even work?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it looks like we got Paul back on the line. There was some.
Yeah, that's my. Strangely enough, Stacy's mom decided to come pay me a personal visit, so I had to just jump off for a minute, but. It's all cool now.
That was pretty rude.
She's waiting on me. So why don't you continue?
Just call right off, right? Just gotta go.
Let's continue.
Yeah, let's continue. We were on talking about the whole COVID mess before Stacy's mom came over, and the New York Post had a letter out. This is by Joel Zingberg. Letter confirms Wuhan Lab's COVID-19 leak was funded by U.S. taxpayers. And again, everybody needs to keep in mind, I hate to use a low number like 30%, but that seems to be a popular number. 30% of everybody out there knew this already, okay? Another 20% were most certain of it. Somewhere along the line, it turned political, just like the stupidity of the masks. And then everybody said, anything Trump does, we got to do the opposite. But the origin of the SARS COVID-2 virus that caused COVID-19 remains unclear, but recent revelations reinforce the likelihood that the true source was a lab leak from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And a couple of things came to light recently, like the definition of a wet market. We might think it's one thing, but a wet market is basically a seafood market.
Yeah.
So we're the people that are I want to say in the know, or the 30% of the smart people. Well, there's no bats in the seafood market, so that theory never even
never made sense. Or pangolins.
It all boils down to they make their own definitions up. They alter the definition of words.
They had to come up with something else so that they could denigrate Trump and call him an idiot, call him a xenophobe, call him whatever. They had to do it. So this is the best thing they came up with. By the way.
Yeah, definitely.
By the way, I know you guys don't listen to Tim Pool, and I completely understand why, but he mentioned, I think it was today on his podcast.
I have a hat on right now.
He was out with a friend of his, a friend. I don't understand how you can have a friend like this. And like yesterday, and this friend still believes it was a wet market thing.
They're idiots.
Yesterday.
And
it's remarkable.
Yeah. Well, it's like saying I found a circle in a store that sells squares.
Well, listen, let's just be very clear.
I wasn't on my analogy, but go ahead.
The left are a bunch of idiots. They're imbeciles. They really are. They got something screwed up in their brains. They're stupid people.
Okay, you're not going to get a lot of pushback there,
Did you? If you're getting some traction for a fight, I was like, hey, wait a minute, hey, I agree with everything you just said.
We're not going to get canceled for that. That's straight up. He's spitting facts there.
I'm waiting for a fact checker to fact check that.
Wait, are you telling me Paul's agreeing with me?
I am. Well, hold on on a minute, though. Hold on a minute. Putting on my tinfoil hat, though, for a moment here.
Well, hurry up and put it on because I got to read some of this stuff. People are waiting.
We can't discount the possibility that it's our people who released this freaking crazy thing. Remember, we had people over there, military people, and it was released long before, people talk about it. It was released in September, October, November, something of the year before.
For what purpose?
Who knows? I don't even remember. It's been a while since I've been.
Let Jim finish what he was doing. We stepped all over him.
All right.
Go ahead, Jim. Thanks for covering
in my defense, he did pause. All right.
I did. It was a mental pause. So I'm going to break the soundboard out in a minute. Total funding was a bunch of money. Was it $3,700,000? More than $600,000 of that went to the Wuhan lab. 3 other Chinese institutions received funding as well. And this is all known. This isn't wet market bat soup. We know this. And again, back to Joe's point, even though we know it, even though it's a fact, that a good portion of the left was still going to deny it for whatever reason. I don't know. The principal investor was EcoHealth, whatever, Alliance President Peter Daszak, who on the onset of the pandemic has consistently campaigned in the public and behind the scenes to convince people that SARS, COVID, whatever, blah, 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 did not come from that lab, but evolved naturally from animal to human transmission. And by the way, did you see there's a story today of a bird flu transmission to a human?
The H5N1?
Yeah, there's been there's been a transmission, a natural, quote unquote, natural transmission to a human.
Yeah.
So was it natural, created in a lab?
The H5N1? I don't know. I
think a lot of these so-called animal related viruses and flus, if you will, come from China. And I'm not saying that because I'm xenophobic, which, by the way, nobody knew what that was until Trump got in office. Nobody said xenophobic before 2015.
Yeah, and strangely enough, the Spanish flu, if I recall, came from China, as well as the Black Plague.
Yeah, which is really ironic because I would have thought it would have been the yellow plague, but what do I know? But my point was
Africa.
Yeah, my point was there was a lot of animal type viruses because they have very little. I guess I can use the R word, regulations when it comes to the way they process, sell, and or eat wildlife, stock, whatever you want to call it. So that's interesting, and that's a problem. But don't point a finger at China. They're the cleanest, even though they're opening 17 coal plants a month or a week. We can't look at China. We're going to be looking at them in a couple of years because they're going to be parachuting in on the mainland and trying to run our country.
Dawn.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, Yellow Dawn. We better start learning Mandarin. Publications of the studies in 2017 and 16 were subject to contentious Senate hearings in which the Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky, of course, pressed. He should have punched Fauci to admit that they constituted gain-of-function research. And we played a little clip of that earlier, promoting Fauci's denial and statement that NHI has never and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan lab. That was like 3 lies in one sentence.
Yeah.
But, he's from the Mengele school of viruses. And I guess if what was that movie with Tom Cruise when she said, I object, and the judge said, okay, your objection is noted. No, I strenuously object. So, well, you strenuously object. Well, then I'm going to change my mind. This guy is a strenuous liar. So I mean, and this story goes on and on and on. And again, it's a piece.
Well, that seems to be a trend in the Hill. They look. I mean, look at Biden. Every word out of his mouth is a lie. They all lie. Everything is a lie. Look at the Christopher Wray. Look at everything you hear is a lie. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Because they get away with it.
what really is incredible about the system of lies now is in the good old days they formulated a lie around an agenda, and then they perpetuated that until it sunk in, and it was a laser focused psychological operation, if you will. Now, like you said, Joe, it doesn't freaking matter. Every freaking thing you can say, just spit it out. It doesn't matter if it's true. It doesn't matter if you know it's true. It doesn't matter if you care. It just spit it out.
You could put up a full-size video screen, like a 20-foot video screen showing something, and then they look right at it and say, yeah, no, that never happened.
Yeah, exactly.
They just don't care.
No.
I'd like your comment on this hypothesis. We've all seen how blatant things have become in the past 5, 6, 7 years.
Right.
As far as the lies go, you're absolutely correct. They just absolutely lie with no concern for consequences, and it doesn't need to be pre-coordinated, because they know instinctively and through experience that it doesn't matter. Whatever lie they tell, all the media will fall in lockstep behind him and make it the truth.
Right.
It's straight up Orwell.
It's almost like a mockingbird.
Yeah.
Well, they attribute lemmings to that type of behavior.
Yeah.
And that's why we oftentimes call the left lemmings, because one will walk off the cliff, and the one in front and behind says, "Yeah, that's the thing of the day. It's the thing of the day. Let's walk off the cliff."
He's flying.
Yeah, he's flying.
Look, he's flying.
I ain't quite dead yet. But that's the interesting part about that is they don't actually walk off a cliff, And I'm not going to elaborate on that. I'm joking. I don't want anybody to walk off cliffs.
They just push other people off.
Yeah, and actually, that whole interlude we just did it actually brought me to clip 2. This is going to be a little bit of a montage on some of the insanity of the beginnings of this scam. And I think this is all pretty much local, but it was pretty cool. Just sit back and it's not that long. It's about a minute and a half, but it's kind of cool how it. And I did this particularly so we can say afterwards, when history is written and when the books are written, if the right side has anything to do with it, people in 50, 60, 100 years are going to look back and say, "What on earth were they doing?" So with that, I'll play it.
Unusual step, the CDC will be screening passengers at 3 airports for a mysterious new virus.
More than 200 now dead and nearly 10,000 confirmed cases. Fears continue to grow over the coronavirus.
The United States has declared a public health emergency because of the coronavirus. Gatherings must be limited to no more than 250 people. Even without a confirmed case of coronavirus in the tri-state, Indiana and Kentucky schools plan to close. Today, the NCAA canceled both the men's and women's basketball tournaments.
Well, people in the tri-state won't be going to bars, nightclubs, or restaurants for a while. Governors in Indiana, Kentucky, and Illinois are requiring those establishments to close. Deaconess now has a drive-through COVID-19 testing location. This is for people showing symptoms of the virus with confirmed exposure to someone who hasn't.
It's been unprecedented chaos. Moonlight's been a family-owned, independent restaurant for over 57 years, and we've never faced the decisions that we're facing now.
It is news we have been bracing for weeks. The first coronavirus COVID-19 cases have been confirmed now in the tri-state.
The first is a 63-year-old woman from Henderson County. She tested positive for COVID-19.
A 51-year-old man in Davis County also tested positive. We're told both of those patients are isolated at home. The third case is in Vanderburgh County. Governor Eric Holcomb ordered all schools to remain closed until May 1st in Indiana.
The Indiana primary election has been postponed.
Is that sick?
That's yeah. Tell you what, that gives me goosebumps remembering how things were. how they moved along. Yeah.
Replace every time they say COVID with the flu, and see how that plays.
Right.
I mean, this was so insane when I was looking and to put this together. It was like, you've got to be kidding me. What are our whoever's going to be around in 50, 60, 100 years is going to think when they see, what did you people do? It always reminds me, and we say this a lot, it always reminds me of that final scene in the monkey, the ape, Planet of the Apes.
Oh, yeah. Charlton Heston down on his knees.
Yep. They finally did it. And there's the top of the Statue of Liberty buried in the sand.
Here's a quick fact for you. A meta-analysis from the researchers at Johns Hopkins University did a study and concluded that lockdowns only reduced COVID mortality by 0.2%.
Say that one more time, Joe.
A meta-analysis from researchers at Johns Hopkins University. They did a what do you call it? They did a study, and they concluded that lockdowns reduced COVID mortality by 2%, 0.2%.
0.2%. Unbelievable.
At what cost? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
0.2%.
Not only the lives, but the economy.
Yeah, right. But I mean, and all the psychological damage, the damage that's been done to children, just a complete mess.
And let's address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. No, Whoopi Goldberg's not on set. But the fact that the freakdom, the sideshow of America gained a footing in the public arena. And if you want to call it a hidden blessing, when parents were actually able to see what the heck their kids were being taught, the freakdom was allowed to appear. We gained so much knowledge into 975 different genders, and right up until today, with the trans community and I think the LGBTQ, they added a few extra letters and numbers because of COVID. The social media companies just wrapped it up. And ironically, TikTok became even more well-known, more used, more rich. And they're run by China.
That's a China company, right?
Yeah, of course it is. So, but we can go, we go into this, another New York Post piece, actually. And it's basically, what we're going to grab from this is the top 10 or so pieces of misinformation that we were told. And
let it rip, man.
We're going to let it rip, and then we can discuss them or not. It just depends. A natural immunity offers little protection compared to vaccinated immunity. That was a lie we were told, and that
Absolutely.
that was told to us a lot by Fauci.
That was a far right conspiracy theory when you said that natural immunity. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a guy testified about that. I just saw a clip of him today. He's like, yeah, we knew this from 480 BC with the blah 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 virus up until up until 2020. Then we forgot it for 3 years, and now we remembered it again.
Yeah.
Didn't Project Veritas get that guy that go undercover and had the Pfizer guy talking about admitting that your antibodies from when you are much better than the Pfizer vaccine. But the vaccines did nothing more than give people side effects. They were great for side effects.
Well, Paul was referring to the Athenian plague of 430 BC. Yeah.
Is that what it was? I couldn't remember. Okay.
Yeah. I have vague memories of certain things along the way. I might be getting a little Bidenism, but misinformation. Again,
you can remember that far back, huh?
I can remember. I don't know why. It's one of those freaky historical, things that pop up into my head. I remember how to breathe still, so that's good. Misinformation number 2, and I'm not going to do it like I did last week. I think I was pissing Joe off. Quit asking me questions. This isn't school. This is going to be a test. Masks prevent COVID transmission, and I'm not going to read the study, but Oxford teams got together and they said there was absolutely no difference. But what was funny, and we'll go back like we did with the other thing. In 8th grade science, we knew this. We went over the particle size and the paper. So you were lied to about masks. That's the point. Misinformation number 3. School closures reduce COVID transmission. Well, in Spain and Sweden, there was absolutely no difference in rates. And I will tell you, in the state of Florida, the sooner they got back to school, the better off we wound up.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to breathe all the air. So, if you guys want to jump in.
That's a lot of damage done to a couple of years worth of kids. And Randy Weingarten, she's another one that needs a public tribunal and swift sentencing and so on.
And not with a jury of her peers.
Don't you wish we lived like 100 years in the past?
Joe, I said this before. I wish you could put a Coliseum in. And,
right? Yeah.
So, right outside of D.C., because like Paul said before, we don't want to ruin any of the monuments. But we could put a Coliseum in and get up there and thumbs up or thumbs down. Misinformation number 4. Myocarditis from the vaccine is less common than from the infection.
That's a false thing here.
Well, we know that myocarditis is 6 to 28 times more common after the COVID vaccine than after in the infection amongst 16 to 24-year-old males. And not to mention the real travesty and the horrific portion of this is there was, I got to back up because I'm going to raise my voice a little bit. There was no reason for a 16 to 24-year-old healthy kid to get a freaking vaccine.
No,
which is not a vaccine.
But I'll tell you what's even sicker. It's sickening enough that this vaccine is causing this kind of damage to people. But if you go on the CDC's website and many other, because I was on there looking for a long time, so many of these left-wing sites are saying, yeah, there's a slight side effect on it happens, like 1 in a million or very, very few. But yes, you need to get that 4th and 5th vaccine to be protected. And they just this is still going on. You want to talk about disinformation and lies? It's rampant and it's disgusting.
Well, and let me just add this to maybe there's some liberal people listening that don't quite get it. You don't take repeatedly. You don't take a vaccine 5 times.
Let the liberals take them. Let them take them.
Here's my take on that. There are cohorts that the vaccines, I believe, helped. Older people, sick people, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The vaccination of young, healthy people was not only insane, I think it's criminal. Worse than that, they are now pushing. They're pushing for infants. They may have even gotten. I don't know how young they are nowadays, but they want to include this for every school child every year having to take one of these going forward. They're pushing it on pregnant women. This is a crime against humanity and needs to be treated as such.
Absolutely.
You talk about you're talking about the heart conditions, but it also interferes with menstrual cycles and it interferes with reproduction and women. It's pretty sick.
Well, yeah, this is megalomania. This is an experiment by sick people. And Joe, I don't think they need the money. I think they just like to rub their hands together and play little gods. But the fact of the matter is, they're all going to die, and they're all going to wind up in a box, either cremated or 6 feet under. So the sooner they realize it, like Jim Morrison said, no one here gets out alive. So I don't know what the deal is.
As is my want, I like to take a little detour now and again, just to let you know that OpenAI came out with an API for ChatGPT today. So that means every piece of software you ever looked at is going to have a hookup to OpenAI's ChatGPT going forward. Talking about the dystopian future.
Yeah, the dystopian. Well, we actually have an episode of dystopian or Idiocracy. I think we have some.
They will be closely Well, we're in idiocracy right now. I mean, look at this.
I have it on our list somewhere. We're gonna.
Before we get too far off the topic, I just wanted to mention too that the Pfizer director admitted to everybody that the vaccine was never tested on preventing transmission. They put this thing out there and they claimed that it did something. They never tested it to see if it would prevent transmission. And obviously that we know that the vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID. It actually gives you, when you take this vaccine, you have a better chance at getting the COVID, and it does not prevent somebody else from transmitting it also.
Yeah.
And
Trump's going to pay a penalty.
Pfizer admitted to this under oath. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, hey, this might be a good time to talk about the newest endeavor, I guess you can call it, called buymeacoffee.com. So we signed up for buymeacoffee.com, and you can actually go on there and donate or, a quick amount, or you can subscribe for a certain amount. We have different levels out there. You go to buymeacoffee.com/shinebox, and you can find it there. Also embedded the button on the website, so you can just hit that up either on your phone or, on your computer, and just smash that button. That's at 10mmm.org. Also, obviously, I'm going to link all the links to the content in the description of all our podcasts, including Rumble and on YouTube, if we continue to use them. And of course, shineboxcontact@gmail.com is our direct email address. Here's another one that's out there on a link, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's the Twitter handle. It's at frickin' Shinebox, and that's going to be spelt a little different. FRIKKEN, Shinebox, at frickin' Shinebox. So check those out when you get a chance. And as always, they're in the descriptions of all our podcasts that we release. Yeah, and I got to give a shout out to the big Joey P for our very first contribution, and he wasn't stingy either. He bought us each a cup of coffee. So hit it up, guys. We appreciate it, Joey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Joey. Appreciate it. Great name too, by the way.
Yeah. Speaking of great names, number 5, young people benefit from a vaccine booster. That was the misinformation number 5. This is probably why the CDC chose not to publish its data, because the mortality rate is so low amongst the young people that never even made the stats.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're pushing a vaccine for very young people. Like you said, Paul, I think it's even down to a ridiculous infant. Level.
I think so.
Yeah. And I don't know why, and I don't really care if anybody likes this or not. I don't know why a parent would shove an experimental drug into their infant's body. You have to be crazy, I guess, that's the best I could say about that. But
social pressure is a powerful thing. If all the media can get everybody on board on one side, that can make a powerful wave.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, but if somebody was going to social pressure me into doing something to my kids that I knew inherently was wrong, I'll leave it at that. Misinformation number 6: vaccine mandates increased vaccination rates. And we probably ought to read into this one. The mandate was based on the theory that the vaccination reduced transmission rates, a notion later proven to be false. And I submit that if you didn't prove it was not false, we didn't have to prove it wasn't false. So there was no proof, because this was all an experiment, that it worked at all. And they actually got Pfizer, and I don't even think they had to squeeze it out of them. They just said, hey, we never said it was going to work. We just said we could produce it rather quickly, which is what they did. But the...
we could have mixed something up in the kitchen too,
Oh, I know, and I'm not going to do it. Hey, Mikey, you try it. Mikey eats everything.
Do it, yeah.
But after the broad recognition that the vaccination does not reduce transmission, the mandates persisted, and they still do to this day. Which is that's another maniacal thing. Part of this idiot Bill Gates, and if anybody has any notion to support anything this dangerous mass murderer he's complicit anyway in this. If you have anything to do with this guy, you're crazy. He wants to shove this crap in your meat, so you have to eat it, even though he's against meat, unless it's his. He gets to eat the Kobe, you don't. You get to eat the plant-based stuff. So, to me, if you have to sneak this secret substance into everybody's existence through the back door, there's something maniacal going on here, for sure.
Yeah. I'd like to hold him down and jab him, give him a bunch of vaccines.
Oh, no. They don't believe in vaccines, him or his family.
No.
So
that's right. He's preaching about the vaccine, but he's never taken the vaccine.
He's another
All
one.
These people haven't. None of these people have taken the vaccine because they know better. They know what it is.
Yeah.
But he's another one that thinks he's not going to die. But
we're going to take this exit right here.
yeah.
And go into the rest area for a moment. I'll throw in something that I just found out is that Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation own like some god awful percentage of the seeds of America, along with Rockefeller Foundation, Ford Foundation, some of these other places. They own all the seeds, the patents, and on all these.
At least there's no monopoly there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy. Misinformation number 7. COVID originating from the Wuhan lab is a conspiracy theory. And I don't really think we need to beat that one up too much. I think that was the basis of this show. But anyway, and then there's some money, money's changing hands. There's no surprise there. Number 8, misinformation number 8. It was important to get the second vaccine dose 3 or 4 weeks after the first dose. That might sound a little confusing. Data were clear in the spring of 2021, just months after the vaccine rollout, that spacing out the vaccine by 3 months reduces complication rates and increases immunity. Spacing out vaccines would also have saved more lives when Americans were rationing a limited vaccine supply at the height of the epidemic. So it's interesting that they call it an epidemic here. But they pounded them in. They arbitrarily came up with the 6-foot distancing. They arbitrarily came up with the ridiculousness of putting a piece of plexiglass across anything, because we all know plexiglass is virus protection, right?
Yeah.
Everything, or stickers on the floor. The only reason they came up with 6 feet is because the real distance you'd have to stay away from somebody for like a sneeze is about 21 to 27 feet, which nobody would accept. So they said, yeah, let's do 6 feet. Yeah, sure. 6 feet, Scott. 6 feet. Yeah, 6 feet. We'll do 6 feet. Some of them were like, no, 2 feet. No, 2 feet's too close. And they came up with 6 feet. The whole thing was a joke. This could have been a Marx Brothers skit. In fact, if we had the Marx Brothers in the White House, we'd be a heck of a lot better off.
We'd be in better shape.
Amen.
Misinformation number 9. Data on the okay, I'm going to have to cut this because I can't say this word. Bivalent vaccine is crystal clear. Okay, Dr. Ashina Jha famously said that despite the bivalent vaccine being approved using data from 8 mice, to date there's never been a randomized control trial of the virus. I mean, this is more out in your face, overt information that's saying we really didn't know what we were doing. Misinformation number 10. This will be our final one out of this. 1 in 5 people get long COVID. I thought for the longest time that long COVID was the porn movie that just came out. So I don't know what long COVID is, but apparently that's a lie.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That goes back to the other thing. We've had how many coronaviruses up until now? This is like the 7th one or whatever.
Yeah, they're out there.
Yeah,
I thought there was 19 of them.
There was no long version of 1 through 6. All of a sudden we discovered. I mean, come on.
Well, apparently, if you get it for more than 12 weeks, it's long COVID. Long COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand you get a bad case. If you got a bad case of pneumonia or bronchitis, it's going to last you have after effects for a while too,
And I just don't remember that scientific phrase being, or that scientific word being added to any other illness,
Yeah.
You have long bronchitis.
Yeah,
or,
right.
long. You fill in the blank.
Long flu.
Long flu. That sounds like it comes right off of a Chinese menu.
Oh, you got a long flu. I got a long flu. I got like a long flu.
You got the long flu.
Oh, my long flu is more powerful than your long flu.
Yes, but I have long COVID. Jeez, oh man. And speaking of, as if we just wanted to segue into this final montage, which I really like saying. I don't know where that came from. I think it's Latin for a bunch of clips put together. This is about a minute, but this one, I love this one because it talks about the origins. This has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that people didn't like Trump. But so hop on and listen along.
But neither should we panic or fall back on xenophobia. Labeling COVID-19 a foreign virus does not displace accountability.
The president referred to the coronavirus as a, quote, foreign virus. And I think it's going to it's going to come across to a lot of Americans as smacking of xenophobia.
The administration's labeling of this virus as foreign is undoubtedly playing into the rising xenophobia about it. Trump isn't cautioning us to check our racism, but is rather stoking xenophobic sentiment.
The president says it's a foreign virus as if this was launched on us like an attack. We know what that's about. That's about him playing xenophobia, works with his base.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China.
China.
He comes from China.
And these people, these talking heads, I think they are the worst people on the planet.
I think it's so cool, though. Why do you keep calling it the China virus? Well, because it comes from China.
Yeah, I mean, it's just in your face. And like I said, gee, xenophobia. And one guy said, you play xenophobia like it's a freaking brass instrument in the band, It's not racist. And it just goes on and on and on. And the lies perpetuated, the complicity in the killing of 1 million Americans, the destruction of the economy of this country that was done clearly deliberate. If you did it by accident, raise your hand, take credit for it. One governor, do you think that governor, Cuomo, do you think that was an accident that he left the office? He freaking killed thousands of elderly by deliberately putting them into a situation where they were going to die, along with several other states. That wasn't an accident.
He wouldn't use the mercy ship that Trump sent, so he put them in old folks' homes instead.
Trump bad, so people died. That's their motto. These are disgusting, foul people. And Joe, I think you mentioned earlier, there'll never be any accountability. Maybe we might find a scapegoat. Maybe it's not going to be the Fauci. I don't know who it's going to be, if it's anybody, but this is a disgusting disease, a bioweapon that was released on us. It did. Fortunately, it was poorly executed. And when I say that, I mean, it could have been a heck of a lot worse. And the funny part is we paid for it.
And we also have to consider, why are they changing their tune right now? And it is my humble opinion, but you must keep in mind that I am a soothsayer. I can see the future. They are going to try and stoke war with China, and they're going to use this to do it.
Well, China is supplying Russia. That's another show.
Too. Yeah, but to Paul's point, we heard the prediction of a war with China by 2025. This is a good way to make China the bad guy now.
Yeah.
And it was
it's another Project Mockingbird thing. You have to get the people on board before they can do it. And you're right. An Air Force general, I think it was last summer or fall, said we have until 2025 to go to war with China. Otherwise, they're going to surpass us in military capability.
Yeah. And then with this going on, this deliberation going on with Ukraine, it's going to expedite it. So anyway, I think we got our point across. I think we hopefully enlightened a few people. If not,
I hope so.
Let us know. Leave some comments, leave some thumbs up, smash the like button, and all that other great social media crap. You know what to do. You know the thing.
Yes,
do the thing.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right,
Later
good night.
from
We'll
Central
talk to you
Florida.
later.
Bye.
Good night.